It doesn't matter if it's through your eyes, her eyes, or all of our eyes. We love to talk about being in the parks. We are i2i in the parks, back again for episode 4 to talk about all the Disney parks news with an extra special splash of Walt Disney World magic on top of that. My name's Kyle, is your co-host number 1, co-host number 2, as always, Miss Brittney Reese. Welcome back, Brittney.
Hello, thanks.
Good to be back for episode 4. And wow, quite a bit has happened since you and I last got together.
Yes, it has. All good things.
Well, good things in the sense that it happened, but we're going to get to it in this episode. But you had your plans that we talked about in the last episode about your trip get changed a little bit.
Yeah, pretty much everything you think you know about my trip, just erase that from your brain because it's completely different than what I thought it was going to be. But it worked out for the best, and it's great, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, listen, any day in Disney mostly is better, even if it's like rearranged and all that kind of stuff. You make the most of it. It's magical no matter what. So certainly we're going to get into that. So today's episode, of course, we're going to start off with some Disney parks and other parks news as well. And then we'll talk about the story of her trip. And then she wants to dive into some more details about things that she experienced maybe for the first time and some things just that she's done before from that trip. So let's jump into it with Disney parks news to start off. What do we got first to talk about this week, Brittney?
We got just some quick little highlights we want to hit. The first being that we have official Festival of the Arts dates, which is going to run from January 17th to February 24th. Definitely one of the shorter festivals that Epcot does, but I do love it. It's got, I think, some of the best food that I've had at a festival, in my opinion. And I'm just excited to get back there. Hopefully that'll be when we do our family trip so we can hit up some of those food booths and check out the art.
I'm working really hard to behave and not use the acronym for this and then make a reference to Ryan and myself and things that we do when we eat too much. And I'm being very well behaved right now. So.
Just say it, Kyle. Say it.
Farts. It's farts. Okay. It's the Farts Festival, and it's awesome that that's the acronym. And I'm glad it seems like even some people out there are embracing it now. Is it immature? Yes, but I don't care. It's the Farts Festival, and I love it. I will say what you said about the food at Festival of the Arts is surprisingly true for me too. Because it's more about the theme of it, whether it's, physical art, musical art, anything like that, that they're showcasing there. I was surprised last time I experienced this, how much I love the food there. So I'm excited that they've already got the dates out there. And of course, people can talk to you about if they want trips to get planned during that time.
Yeah, I can't wait for those booth menus to come out. That's going to be so exciting. It's my favorite part of going to Epcot during a festival is being able to walk around with my little menu in hand.
And certainly we'll talk about it then, because we certainly want to pick out our favorites like we did with the Food and Wine Festival and things like that. I want to bring up a news item that you had listed for us real quick. It's kind of personal for me because I grew up loving this land, and we've all known that Dino Land is going away with obviously the reimagining of that area into more South American, more Central American, and the different stories and movies that are going to be there. But we're getting our first phase of closures for Dino Land. January 25th, Triceratops Spin, Fossil Fun Games, Chester and Hester's. Wow, the names of these places.
Yeah, that's tongue twister for sure.
This is why it failed, is because of the tongue twisters and the Dino Treasures, the Chester and Hester's Dino Treasures area. That's basically the carnival area of that is finally going to be closed down. And it's literally, other than the dinosaur ride, the only thing that exists of that anymore. Are you sad at all, Brittney, to see this actually coming to fruition?
I think I'll be more sad when they actually close Dinosaur. I don't really have any special memories or attachment to Triceratops Spin or the arcade. So, we know it's coming. So I'm accepting of it. And it is what it is at this point. I think they are keeping open Trilobites and Restaurantosaurus for a little. Is Restaurantosaurus still a thing?
Yes, it's still there. It's still, it's got,
so those there. Will probably be open through the phase 2 closure when they close Dino Land. So it's not hard and fast. Everything's closing at once, which I think is good for all of those out there who are diehard Dino Land fans to kind of ease you into it. And I'm glad that it sounds like maybe we'll get one more chance to ride Dinosaur as well if we're able to make our trip work the dates that we're looking at.
I'm not going to be extremely sad if that goes. In fact, I used to be terrified of the ride when I was a little kid. But it's time for a change. There is nostalgia here, but it's reality, folks. Dino Land is officially going away. So get ready and get your trips in before it's officially gone.
It's happening. It's happening.
That is the easy news here. I think one of the bigger news stories you might want to talk about a little bit more detail happened. I think it was this past week with some news about certain passes that you can buy.
Yeah. So this was actually dropped the morning that I was going to Disney. So I was scrambling as I'm going through security, boarding the plane to try to read up on this crazy announcement that I don't think anyone saw coming. So essentially the gist of it is it's called Lightning Lane Premier Pass, and it's eligible for Walt Disney World resort guests who are staying at a deluxe resort. And there is a limited quantity of it, so it's not going to be open to everyone. It's going to be a first come, first served thing if you're staying at a deluxe resort. You book it 7 days in advance at Disney World, 2 days in advance of your park reservation at Disneyland. And basically it gives you access to every Lightning Lane, including single pass and multi-pass, and you don't have to select a return time. You just show up whenever you want. In theory, it sounds great, but when you get to the pricing of it, holy cow. I mean, it doesn't affect me one single bit, this Premier Pass, because it is never going to be an option for me. We are not going to be deluxe resort guest people, and we're not going to have an extra $400 per day per person lying around in our pockets either.
It's not happening, nope.
No. So it starts at about $149 to $449 per person per day, and it just totally depends on availability and demand. So it's going to be interesting. It launches in Disney World on the 30th, October 30th, and it launches in Disneyland today, actually, October 23rd.
Oh, what great timing.
Yeah, I'm interested. I'm not sure how many people will be trying it out the first week, because it's definitely a select target audience.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see the reviews. I mean, I'm sure it's going to work great. Like, if that's something that you can do, then by all means you do it. Right. That is a fabulous option to be able to show up at any ride whenever you want to go.
I mean, it sounds great.
It's going to be for a lot of people.
In theory, it's great. The price point
theory, it's great.
Is horrendous and definitely not in our wheelhouse as our little, me and Jessica's nuclear family, but I guess our extended family as well. I love that concept of you get to just walk in and say, I want to go to Big Thunder Mountain. Let's go right now. I want to go to the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Let's go right now. I do not want to wait in that Peter Pan line. So let's go right now.
But also the thing about it is you would think at that price point, it would be, you can ride it as many times as you want, but you can still only ride it one time.
Right.
So really the only benefit of it is you can show up whenever you want.
Yep.
And it guarantees that you can ride every ride.
Which
is a good benefit, but it's just, is it worth upwards of $400 per person per day? No.
Not for us. But one thing you said that I like there is that you have to think about it in terms of this gives you the ultimate perfect day, because the thing that you're always waiting on, unless there's just a food line you're waiting on, which is our case, you're waiting in lines. This eliminates that for you. You just get to go wherever you want. You can actually take a more fluid approach around the park. It's not for us, but think about this. Do you remember the people in the plaid suits? Those are the tour guide, VIP tours. This is essentially what part of I know I'm dumbing down exactly what it is, but essentially that's part of some of the perks there. This is for that price point and eliminating the need because I've heard stories, and I've even heard some content creators this week talk about it, that this is essentially just eliminating the need to have those tour guides, because some people were doing repeats to get the ease of access onto certain rides. So I get it. You see the price. It's outrageous. I know if everybody feels like Disney's nickel and diming everything they can, and it probably are. But folks, if you don't want that to stop going. Don't do that, because we need you to obviously
please don't stop going.
I know Brittney's like, Kyle, shut up right now. You're literally killing me as we're talking about it right now. But there you go. That's the Premier Access Pass. And if you want to buy it, good luck. I will lead us into our last topic, and you know how much it pains me to talk about this. I am a Disney World fanatic. I will go to certain other places when my family requires me to do so because I love them. And I will have a good time, especially when they do things like have brookies. But other big announcement, and since we're going to talk about other parks news from time to time, even it's not Disney, Epic Universe just announced their date. When are we expecting Brittney to go epic at that universe?
That was another massive piece of news that was dropped when I was on my trip. They just like knew I was out of town, out of office, and they were just like bringing on all the news. But so we finally got a date for Epic Universe. It's going to be May 22nd, and tickets are already on sale now. I think the first night at the new hotel, the Elios Hotel, is already booked up for May 22nd, which is not surprising. I was, convinced that was going to anticipating that was going to sell out right away.
Right.
But they've got the 3 new hotels. So it's the Elios Hotel, the Stella Nova, and Terra Luna. And the Stella Nova, Terra Luna are going to open a little bit earlier. Stella Nova opens on January 21st, and Terra Luna opens on February 25th. Those are going to be more of the prime value hotels. And then the Grand Elios is going to be more of the signature. The signature hotel, though, does not come with Express Pass, which I thought was interesting. Like, the Royal Pacific, Sapphire Falls, Hard Rock does. But I'm so excited for us to go to this. This probably won't be a trip that we do in 2025. I'm anticipating probably 2026 when the newness of it all dies down and maybe it's not so absolutely jam-packed crowded. But still, I'm so excited to see pictures, videos, and book some trips for some clients.
Here's the thing, and yes, please do hit Brittney up if you want to book a trip for that. We will probably not go. At least you may take Miss Disney travel agent may take a random trip.
We'll see. There might be a random trip in my future, but nothing planned to go there.
But definitely for us, it probably will be a year into its opening before we get to go over there and see it. Here's my take on this as someone who's a Disney park snob. I actually don't get scared when they continue to build because it forces Disney to innovate.
It does, yeah.
And if this does well, it's only going to push that knob even further. We've already seen the great expansions they're going to make. This is only going to continue to do that. And obviously, it gives another option if you need something other than Disney to do, which I don't know why that would be, but hey, you do your own Epic Universe.
You realize how great Disney is sometimes when you go over to Universal.
You just do. Sometimes you're just sitting randomly at a Captain Cook's table. You push your plate back and go, you know what? I think I like Disney more. I mean, that is
Kyle's favorite memory of me, if you are not aware.
That's back from episode 1 of us talking about our Disney stories. One of the best memories I've ever had of all time. I was like, my work is done. It's over.
That is not to say I don't like Universal, but Disney is just on a different level.
It's how it is. I mean, this is kind of what the show's premise is. We'll talk about it all, but of course, we're talking about being in the parks at Disney more than anything. All right, that's Disney news. We're going to dive into your trip that maybe in some ways almost wasn't, coming up next. Well, a hurricane nearly tried to ruin Brittney's trip that we got all excited about hearing about in episode 3. It didn't ruin it, but it certainly changed a lot of everybody's plans, including yours.
Yes.
So, Brittney, now I'm even more interested than I was to hear about your trip to Walt Disney World this October, courtesy of Helene. Was it Helene or which one is
Milton? This was Milton.
Oh, that's right. I mean,
they just back-to-back barreled through Florida. So, pretty much everything you think you know about my trip, it was not so. So originally I was going to fly in Wednesday, I think it was the 9th, have a night to myself at Coronado Springs, and then a day to myself Thursday while I wait for my friends to come in. That did happen still. The timeline of everything stayed the same. We just pushed it back a week. It was still a Wednesday to a Sunday. I came in Wednesday. My friends came in Thursday night. The resorts changed, so I stayed at All Star Movies by myself the first night. And so I got to Orlando fairly early, about 10 a.m. And this was the first time I'd ever gone to a park on a travel day. So I went to Magic Kingdom on Wednesday. It was, I'm not exaggerating, the most crowded I have ever seen Disney World. And I have suffered through a 4-hour line at Rise of the Resistance in February of 2022.
You're triggering me right now, reliving that in my head.
Did not. I mean, there was a solid 5 minutes standing in front of Peter Pan where no one moved. I stood in front of Peter Pan, sardined next to people for 5 minutes and did not move. And people are screaming and pushing. And I'm just like to myself thinking, honestly, thank goodness I'm here by myself right now, because it's easy for me as one person to maneuver through crowds. But if I was with all 5 of us and we're like locked arms, that would have been awful. Yeah. But so the only rides I was able to do were rides that I had lightning lanes for. I did not wait standby in one single line. I did do Tiana's virtual queue, and I only was able to do that because the ride was down the majority of the day. And it was the second that it went up, I ran and got in line. So I was convinced I was going to have to wait like 2+ hours for my virtual queue because they were still catching up from the day. So it was going to be so many people getting in line. But luckily I checked the app like right when it came up. And so I only waited about 20 minutes.
So that was your first ride on Tiana's.
Yes, it was great. I loved it. It was so cute. Something in my gut told me put my poncho on because I was riding front row. And if I had not put that poncho on, I would have been soaked to the bone. I mean, it got me bad. So and it was cold. Wednesday and Thursday was cold. I was bundled up in sweatpants and a sweatshirt, and I was still cold. So I'm so glad I put that poncho on because I probably would have had to leave otherwise. But all in all, I love Tiana's. I thought it was so cute, and I'm so excited for y'all to be able to ride it, even though I know you're so sad that Splash is gone. But it was a great replacement. It was so cute.
I'm glad it's a success, and I know I'm going to love it. I just, I cannot not sing Zippity Doo Dah when I come down the pipe there. I am glad that it appears, well, at least from your experience, that things, get a little bit more damp now.
Yes.
When you come down.
And maybe it's different from the back row, but my gosh, that front row, I had threw my poncho away immediately because it was dripping wet.
Well, at least that's a success. If anything, you get more wet on. No, I almost called it Splash Mountain Tiana's. I'm sorry. I'll get it right.
So rides wise, again, I just did the Lightning Lane selection was like very minimal because I didn't get into Magic Kingdom until about noon. So by then, all the Lightning Lanes were pretty much picked over. So the only rides I did was Thunder Mountain, Space Mountain, Journey Under the Sea, Little Mermaid, and Haunted Mansion and Pirates. Okay. So I did 5 rides plus Tiana's. So I mean, it was fine. It was a decent day. I did a lot of shows. I saw the new Country Bear Jamboree. Never seen that. It was cute. I liked it.
I love me some Country Bears.
I would definitely do that again. It was really cute. They incorporated a lot of newer songs, which I enjoyed.
I wish they would have kept like a mixture of the new Disney versions of the Country Bear songs and then the old ones. Like there's something about, I don't know. Did you ever see the old one with us?
No.
Oh, you never heard Blood on the Saddle? Oh my gosh.
Never heard Blood on the Saddle.
Oh man. If they could have just kept that one or at least like had some homage to it, that'd been great. But I'm glad to hear that it's at least getting some new people interested in it because I wanted to stick around.
No, it was great. I would definitely do it again. So food wise, had my cheeseburger spring rolls for lunch and I had a cake pop. I think you recommended that from the confectionery.
Yeah, I heard you dropped it on the ground.
Yeah, I took a bite of it and like half of it fell into the ground.
But was that half of it good?
Yes, of course. It was so good. I forgot the ears were marshmallows. So when I bit into the ear, I was like, this is a marshmallow. It's not a cake pop.
Oh, did I get a different one than you then?
Oh, I don't know. Because at first I was like, they must have heard me wrong. But then when I bit into like the actual head part, that was cake. So the ears are marshmallow. But it was really good.
Mine did not have ears. I think mine was just decorated with like Mickey's like pants colors or whatever, something like that, and didn't have the ears. Either way, cake pops are great from the confectionery.
Yeah, no, it was great. I would get that again. So I went back to the resort about 4 to check in, brought all my bags to the room. I stayed, you could not be farther in the back of All Star Movies. I stayed in the very, very back of the Love Bug section.
I was about to say, you were back in Love Bug. I know exactly where it is.
I was in the very back of Love Bug. I took the bus actually back to the resort, the All Star Music bus, because I was like, it's the same distance and it's already here. So when I went back to Magic Kingdom, I did Happily Ever After. And again, the crowds were just horrendous. And I started lining up about 30 minutes. They shot them off at 8:30. I got in line about 8. And it was right when I got off Tiana's. They were already saying Main Street's closed. Like, y'all have to go walk. We like had to walk around the back, like behind the Emporium, and then they like spit you out on actual like Main Street. So I was about halfway back on Main Street, like, I mean, again, sardined with people elbowing, pushing, shoving. I was here first. You can't stand here. And
it's the worst.
I'm just like standing my ground, like not talking, not looking at anybody. But so I could see like half of the castle because there was trees in front of where I was. But
I hate that was your first time.
It's okay. I mean, I'd seen it before online, but I got a good enough view of it. And really what I was there for was the music and the fireworks. So I didn't see all of the castle projections, but that's okay. I did end up watching it in my room a later night, so it was fine.
Well, one day I want you to actually get a good view of it, because it is you can't get the full effect of it without the projections, without the fireworks, and of course people fighting for spots, because that's just what happens.
Next time I know 30 minutes is not long enough.
Oh no. No.
So I will queue up earlier next time. So that pretty much wraps up my Wednesday. Thursday, did not go into a park Thursday. I got up Thursday morning, probably about 7:30. And I just wanted to do a leisurely stroll around all the All-Stars while I was there. So I walked around music, movies, sports, just stopped in all the lobbies, did some pin trading, of course.
Nice, of
course. Had some breakfast at the All-Star Movies cafeteria. I had like a avocado tater tot bowl. It was okay. It kind of hurt my stomach, honestly.
It would hurt my stomach too.
Yeah. So then I packed up all my stuff and I dropped all my stuff off at Bell Services and had them transfer them to my new resort, which was Caribbean Beach. That was my first time staying there. It was, I'll talk more about that in a minute. So I was pretty much a nomad from about 10 to 4. I had to be checked out of All-Star Movies and couldn't check in to Caribbean Beach until it ended up being about 2:30 that it was ready. So went to Disney Springs, checked out some of the shops there, tried the cookies at Summer House on the Lake, which I've been hearing reviews that they, give Gideon's a run for their money. It was good, but it wasn't Gideon's.
I was about to say, now listen, can they shove the amount of chocolate chips into a cookie that Gideon's can? Because if that's the case, then we might have a conversation.
No, I mean, and like, Gideon's, those cookies are like 2 inches thick. They weigh like a pound, and they're just like no notes.
Chef's kiss. We got a chef's kiss on the stream.
I mean, the Summer House ones were great, and they had more of a selection. But I would definitely rather get in the virtual queue for Gideon's. Yeah. And then I also went across the street and tried Everglazed because they had a coffee there that I wanted, and it was the pumpkin hazelnut cold brew. Yeah. Again, it was good, but it was not Gideon's. It was not that pumpkin or that peanut butter cold brew. That peanut butter cold brew, oh my gosh, that is the best coffee I've ever had in my life. So I'm glad I've tried these places. And I think if we got the donut, I didn't get a donut from Everglazed. Yeah. It's essentially a donut shop. So I would try a donut from there because they looked phenomenal.
I would as well, because I think obviously our mother-in-law would really like that.
Oh, yeah.
They're loving the one over at Universal. We definitely need to try that as a group.
Yeah. We should definitely go. And I mean, I would probably try another coffee from there too. They had a lot of really good looking ones, but again, it just wasn't my Gideon's. Trying to think of what else I did. I think for the most part, I just kind of wandered around. I went to World of Disney. I got this cup actually. I've been eyeballing this cup for a while. So I got this at World of Disney. Again, just walked around, did some pin trading. And from there, I was probably only like noon. So I knew I still had some time to kill. So I went to the buses. I hopped on the bus to the Riviera because it was on the Skyliner. And I knew I was going to have to at least be on the Skyliner to get to Caribbean Beach. So I walked around the Riviera. I got lunch at Primo Piatto, their quick service. It was pretty good. And then from there, I just hopped on the Skyliner. I went to Pop and Art and pin traded, walked around. Really, I was just killing time at that point. It was getting pretty hot. I was getting tired. I'd been up and walking a lot that day for someone who was not going to the parks.
I was about to say, it was not a rest day if you intended for this to be.
It did not end up being a rest day at all because I was just a nomad wandering around all day. So probably about 1:32, I was like, I'm just going to go sit in the lobby at Caribbean Beach. I'll go check out the gift shops and all that. And the second I stepped off at the Skyliner, I got a text saying my room was ready. So that worked out
It's almost
perfectly.
like Mickey knew you were there. It's
New.
just, I don't know.
He sent my magic bands location.
It's almost like someone's sitting in a room with magic bands, like
He said
all dots
she's
in there. It
there.
says, "Are you there? Do it now, make it
Yeah.
magical."
But we did get to stay in an under the sea room, which was so cute. I
That's
loved
awesome.
it so much. And the location was perfect. We were in Trinidad, and it was like, I mean, max a 2-minute walk to the Skyliner. So
Perfect.
the location was great. The only bad thing, and I'll kind of talk a little bit more about my thoughts about Caribbean Beach now, is it's so big, the resort. It was not easy to go to the lobby. It was
Yep.
like a 10 to 15 minute walk. And I like going to the lobby. I like going and checking out pin boards, looking in the gift shops, grabbing a quick snack. And you can't do that at Caribbean Beach. Like, I mean, you can, but it's a journey to do it.
Especially where you were. And I think that's the difficult thing, because you had the great access to the Skyliner where you were in the themed rooms,
Yeah.
but you're so far away from the lobby. And think about it this way too. Like, I remember Caribbean Beach before Riviera was there and took out a good section of it. Like, that used to be a whole nother set. And those were some of the closer ones too. So it's kind of a bummer. Yeah, it's not easy. It is a haul to get around Caribbean Beach.
There's definitely pros and cons of each section that you stay in, because if you're far enough away towards the Riviera, you can hop on the Skyliner at the Riviera and you can go to the Riviera's quick service and their gift shop. So, but then if you're all the way on my end, you're closer to the Caribbean Beach Skyliner, but farther away. So there's pros and cons of all of it. I think I'm just a pop girl. I mean, I'm not sure I would pay extra to stay at Caribbean Beach again. Now, I mean, it was very nice only having one stop on the Skyliner, just being able to hop on right there, and then you're at Epcot or you're at Hollywood Studios. Whereas if you stay at Pop or Art, you have to get off at Caribbean Beach and get in line again.
Right.
So in that aspect, it was really nice. And of course, the room was super cute. And I'll put pictures and videos of that on my Instagram. But all in all, I just love Pop Century. It's just perfect. It's small, it's quaint, and I think I would go back there before I would go back to Caribbean Beach.
That hurts my heart because I love Caribbean Beach like nobody's business.
I mean, look, if somebody said we're going to Caribbean Beach, I'm not going to say no, we're not.
Okay, all right. As long as we're good there. I just, falling asleep in the hammocks till 4 a.m. While I watch the fireworks, next thing I know, I'm waking up and it's 4 a.m. I was like, man, if I'm this relaxed, this is my place.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm never going to say no to any Disney resort.
That's fair.
When it's Caribbean Beach or Pop, like Pop is kind of tipping the scales for me.
That's fair.
So the rest of that day, I took a long break after checking in. I was beat. I think I just overdid it Wednesday into Thursday, because I pretty much was just on go from the second that I landed in Orlando. So I took a break from probably like 4 to 8 and just hung out in the room. And then I had a reservation at Sebastian's Bistro, and it was good. I'd probably give it a solid like 7 out of 10. And I think more of it was my fault than their fault, because I'm a pickier eater, and they had some things like sustainable fish, and like I don't really care for chicken with a bone in. So, I mean, nothing I ate was bad by any means. It just wasn't my favorite, and it wasn't things I would pick out for myself. But I'm glad I tried it. It was really cool. They had the coconut bread pudding, which is always a hit. Fabulous.
Yeah, I think you go there probably. The atmosphere seems like it's pretty cool. I've walked around it, not had the pleasure of eating there yet. I never took it as probably a place where you go as like, oh, the food's amazing. It's kind of like that combo deal where you get, good food, good enough, and then, but you gotta have that because it's open air, correct? Or a kind of open air?
No. It's a closed restaurant. There's a space beside it, Banana Cabana, which is like the pool bar.
I'm thinking of that. That's what it is. Okay. But either way, you're kind of out there near the water, all that kind of stuff, if you like that. But
no, the vibes were great. It's a pretty small restaurant on the inside, so everything is really cozy. And the service was amazing, of course. Like, everything happened really fast, and it was good. I mean, I don't know if I would go back if we ever stayed at Caribbean Beach. I would, just for the convenience factor. I'm not sure I would seek it out. But all in all, 7 out of 10.
Cool. Yep. Glad to hear.
Yep. So then wandered back to the resort. My friends got in late. They got in probably about 10. And then we just crashed immediately. They were so tired from the drive. They had about a 4.5 hour drive. And I was tired, obviously, from walking all day. So went to bed, got up at the crack of dawn because the next day we rope dropped Epcot. And this was Friday. This, I think, is number one, my longest Disney day ever. And I thought I was tired on Thursday. I didn't know what tired was until Friday.
Well, you did have a day at Epcot, so
Yeah.
we'll do it.
Yeah. So our original plan was they were going to get in earlier because, of course, we planned everything the week ahead. They had taken Thursday off. They were going to get into town earlier. We were going to go to the Halloween party Thursday night, have a full day at Epcot Friday. So we had to change things around because they weren't able to get off work Thursday. So they got in really late Thursday after work. So we pushed the Halloween party back till Friday. So we did a full morning at Epcot. And we had thought, okay, we're going to go back to the room. Since the Skyliner's right there, it's so easy. We'll change, we'll regroup, and then we'll go to the Halloween party. But then next thing we knew, 4 o'clock was rolling around. We were still at Epcot, and we're like, we don't have time to go back to the room because we got to get to this Halloween party because they start letting you in at 4. We're not about to waste precious time. So let me back up, and I'll kind of just talk about the Epcot morning. We rope dropped Remy's, of course, because we got off the International Gateway right there.
Of course.
So quick in and out, 20 minutes of Remy. Then our Guardians virtual queue got called. All the timing worked out perfectly. I got in group 4 of Guardians. I don't know how I pulled that off. So it was immediately we walked over there, did Guardians. And then it was time for our breakfast reservation at Garden Grill, which was great. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. I guess I can talk about it now since I already talked about
it. Yeah, go ahead.
I already talked about Sebastian in detail.
We're deep into this trip already. Let's just go ahead and do it.
It was great. 10 out of 10. I loved it. I can't speak on lunch and dinner because we just did breakfast, but oh my gosh, it was so great. From the monkey bread to the cheesy potatoes, the eggs, the Mickey waffles. We had, we were all going to get mimosas, but then our waiter talked us into this drink called a citrus freeze.
Uh-huh. And is it like their specialty thing or something like that?
It was essentially like a frozen mango, I can't remember what kind of alcohol was in there. It might have just been champagne, but it was amazing. And then of course you had all the different characters come up. It was Chip, Dale, Mickey, and Pluto.
No Donald.
No Donald.
Sorry. Do you see it's not just me talking about Donald getting the shaft. Everywhere you go, he gets the shaft.
Donald's at Topolino's Terrace, and I saw him last time, so I was overdue for Chip and Dale. Okay.
Oh, we put him in one way. Okay, All right, sorry. It's your review.
But if you don't know, Garden Grill is above Living with the Land, and it rotates. I think it takes about an hour to do a full rotation. And we were there for about 45 minutes, so we got almost a full rotation in. But it was awesome. I loved it, and I would definitely do it again. I would like to try lunch or dinner to try their other menus out, but it was wonderful.
So when you said you got almost a full rotation, did you start right there where you enter, correct? Is that, or how does that work?
That's where you go in, but that's not necessarily where you sit.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask, yeah.
Yeah, so we walked, but we did sit pretty close to the entrance.
Okay.
We walked maybe 3 tables over to the left.
And then, so I'm guessing you saw the ride part of it and the boats going by and all that. What's the view like from there?
It's not great. I had to stand up and kind of look and lean over. Okay. You get all of the trees and everything from the ride are kind of blocking your way.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was still fun. You could see enough if you stood up and looked over. You could see the boats coming by.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, I definitely want to try this because you know how much I love to live in the land.
Oh, yes. So for the rest of that day, we did a loop around the World Showcase. But the sad thing is we were so full from breakfast. We stopped. I think we each had one booth item because we were so full. So we committed a cardinal sin and we started in Canada instead of Mexico. And I'll tell you why. It was because we had a lightning lane for Frozen at 2:30.
That's fine.
And it only made sense time-wise to start in Canada. But we did have a couple drinks along the way, but the only food item that I got was the flauta in Mexico. And it was really good. I would get it again. The line for Mexico was insane though, but.
Oh, it always is.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. And then the only other ride we did do Living with the Land right after breakfast. We did Guardians again. We had a lightning single pass for that, and then we did Frozen. So we didn't do a ton of rides that day, only because we were going to go to the party. So we were kind of short on time. So after that, we hopped on the monorail. We went over to Magic Kingdom, got scanned in for the party. And I'll talk about the party in detail in another segment. But it was great. I would love to do it again. There was great food, great shows. But that wrapped up our Friday, and I mean, exhausted does not even cut it. I think we left about an hour early. We left at about 11. And oh my gosh, like we all got home and we're just like, never again are we doing
never
a party
again. Now, so that y'all can never talk to me about wearing y'all out at a Disney park ever again. Okay.
Yeah.
I've never done that to you.
Definitely not Kyle. So after that, we knew we got a full park day at Hollywood Studios coming right up.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no break time. So what day is it now? Saturday morning. Again, we get up, we rope drop Hollywood Studios. We go straight to Rise of the Resistance. We get on in no time. We hit up, Tower of Terror, Rock and Roller Coasters back open, which I haven't ridden it, and it feels like 2 years, but I don't think it's been quite that long. It was so much more smooth. It was a lot better.
Wonder what they did. Like grease the tracks.
Put some WD-40 on those tracks.
WD-40.
But
you know what? If that's what they do, well, first of all, what takes
something like that?
We always make it so complicated when they go down for refurbishment, and it's probably such simple things for them, and they just really want to be thorough about it. Yep. But that one always, when it goes down, like it feels like it just takes forever for it to come back up.
And of course, everyone's like, "Oh, this is the time they're going to get rid of Aerosmith." Aerosmith's still there.
Yeah,
and
I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with it. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. I feel like if they're going to get rid of Aerosmith, they don't need to replace it with something like Queen, because it's kind of like a lateral move.
No, I want Queen now. Now, if they want to really make my country loving heart good, they'll put Rascal Flatts in it. Life is a highway rolling around on that thing. Come on.
It's a hot take.
That's not a hot take. That's a correct take. And you can all judge me all you want, but that it fits right in because it was part of the Cars movie and everything. It fits right in. I'm going to stand on that principle.
All right. He's going to stand on that principle. Let's reel it back in. We did take a resort break this day. We had to. We were dying. We went back to the resort. And we sat outside of the quick service and just like watched the Skyliner for 2 hours, and it was great. We watched the Auburn football was on, so we propped up our phone, watched the game. I know that
you had to bring that up. My goodness,
it's a knife. But so it was a nice break at least. We didn't have any major dining reservations that day. I'm trying to think what snacks I had. We did. I had for the first time the buffalo chicken grilled cheese at ABC Commissary. Amazing, new favorite meal there.
Nice.
In Hollywood Studios.
Yeah,
great.
You sent the group family text that right away, and it had like Jessica raving about it.
Good.
Everybody was like, I've always wanted to try that. Now this has made me extra jealous. It does sound really good. I do love most things buffalo chicken, so I'm excited to give that a whirl sometime.
Yeah. And I think the only other snack I can think of is I finally tried that jalapeno cheddar pretzel. And it's okay. I had the cream cheese one in Magic Kingdom last time we all went.
Yeah.
And it tasted pretty much the same as that. There wasn't really like a jalapeno kick to it. So it was fine. But I think that wraps up our trip. We were going to do Fantasmic. I still have never seen Fantasmic. But we were so tired, and we were trying to make it to the 9:30 show. And it was 8:30, and we just could not do it. We had to leave.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Last episode, when you were laying out your week, and I was very excited for it, I was like, I don't know if she's going to make it through all that. Now, granted, you did get everything drastically changed by a hurricane. And so that's understandable that, that on top of that with crowds being probably smashed in of people trying to make up their trips from that week before. I get it. I really do. So Brittney's trip report. There you have it. We talked about a lot. We got a lot more to discuss in detail from it with some things like the Halloween party coming up just now. Obviously, Halloween is quickly approaching, depending on when you're listening or watching this episode. And if you are a Disney Parks fan, you know all about the Halloween party. Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, obviously a very big juxtaposition to what goes on at Universal and all the shenanigans over there.
Much more tame version.
Much more tame version. Really, truly not so scary from what I've been told.
Mhm.
I have never done it, but Brittney, as part of her most recent trip to Walt Disney World, got to do it for the first time. And as as a Disney travel agent, I feel like it's important for you to research these things. So I'm so glad you get to tell us about it. So, first question: thumbs up, thumbs down, sideways. Where we at?
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up all the way. She loved it. Okay.
It was great.
So the floor is yours again, if you want it, however you want to tell the narrative, or if you just want to talk about parts of it, because I have fresh eyes and ears on this. Maybe some other people do. And I'm sure others that maybe have done it before want to know what it's like currently. So where do you want to start?
I'll just start from the second I walked in the park.
Okay.
So we walked in early. The party doesn't start until 7, but you can enter the park at 4 if you have a ticket.
Yep.
I will say I was very impressed with how Disney ushers non-party guests out of the park. Because, when the park closes on a normal day, you can kind of linger around. You can go into the shops. But if it is 7 o'clock, or no, if it's 6 o'clock, the park closes at 6, and you don't have a wristband on, you're out of there. They won't even let you make a reservation after 5:55. So it was nice in that aspect that it cleared out right at 6 o'clock. The one thing I was kind of bummed about was they didn't start serving the Halloween party snacks and specialty food and drinks until right at 7.
Okay.
I was kind of hoping they would start at 6. So my friends and I were getting a little hangry at this point because, like I said earlier, we hadn't really eaten around the world because we were so full from breakfast. So at this point, it's 5 o'clock. We haven't really eaten since 9:30. So we're like, we can't wait until 7. We have to go somewhere to eat now. So we were able to grab a last-minute reservation to Tony's. So we ate a dinner at Tony's. It was probably about an hour. By the time we were done with Tony's, the party had officially started, and the Boo to You parade was going to start in 15 minutes. Great thing about this party is, again, the crowds are so low. We were able to walk right out of Tony's, get a spot on Main Street, watch the parade. The parade was so cute. I loved it so much. And I'm not normally a parade fireworks show kind of girl.
Yeah.
It was great. The Headless Horseman walks out. He does his little thing. And then all the villains and all of the Fab Five in their costumes. It was just so cute. And I loved the song, of course. So I loved that. And all of the shows are pretty much bam, 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 one right after the other. You have the Hocus Pocus villains show, the fireworks show, and then the Boo to You parade. The parade and the villains show have multiple showings. The fireworks are only one time.
Sure.
So right after the parade, we beelined it to the castle for the villains show. It's starring the Sanderson sisters, but there's appearances by all sorts of Disney villains.
They still do the giant puppet Jack Skellington thing I've seen on there.
Oh, no, that wasn't there. I didn't see that.
That to me, when I first saw that on, obviously social media when that came out, I was like, I obviously can see the puppeteer behind. You know what I'm talking? Have you seen it before? I don't
think I've seen that.
So he comes walking out from the gate, and you can see the puppeteer behind him, but it's so cool looking and so fluid, that. I don't know. That to me was now that's got me interested to come just to see that in person.
They need to bring that back. That sounds cool.
Yeah, I hate you didn't get to see that, but yeah.
So after we did the Hocus Pocus show, we were kind of done with shows at that point.
Sure.
We were all on the same page. We don't really care about seeing the fireworks. We'd rather hit up some of these rides. My number one priority was I really wanted to do Space Mountain because they have the Halloween overlay, which is pitch black dark. Not even stars.
Oh, that is up my alley.
It was great, but it made us all very nauseous afterwards. But it was cool. They had different music playing too, so it wasn't the normal space spooky music. So that was really fun. I think the rides with the overlays are the Mad Tea Party, and then Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor has an overlay. We didn't do that one. I'm just assuming it's more Halloween jokes
and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm sure.
I don't know. Were you about to say something?
Well, I was gonna say about the Space Mountain thing. I feel like I wouldn't get um, sick on that because, and this is bad. This tells you how often and how many times I do Space Mountain. I have that memorized, so like I know when the
Yeah.
little launch point there at the top of it's coming, or when the drops are and stuff like that. But still, that is like, you talk about having a dream of
Yeah.
riding it with the lights on. I have done that, and that's great. And pretty scary too when you realize how close you're to things. But the lights off and different, maybe spookier music. Oh, that's, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited to do that one
It
more.
was really cool. I wish we could have done it more than once. Then they had, I'm trying to think what else we did. They had the Cadaver Dans out,
Mm-hmm.
which was the Dapper Dans, but they were dressed up as cadavers. They were hanging out in Adventureland. And there was just random characters strolling around all night. I wish we had gotten to try more snacks. We were just in this constant loop of eating a big meal and then not being hungry, and then eating another big meal and not being hungry. So we didn't try any of the snacks. We really wanted the witch's brew, which was specific to the Halloween party.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, as soon as we got there, we were like, we have to have caffeine right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it was 4:00 when we got there, and they weren't going to start serving it till 7. We're like, we can't wait that long. So we just went to Joffrey's. And then
Yeah, of course.
at 7:00, I'm like, well, I just had a coffee. I can't have another one.
Right.
So all in all, I loved it so much. And I feel like I have to do it again only because I was so tired. I feel like I didn't get to fully experience it. We did do Astro Orbiter during the fireworks show, which was really cool.
Oh, now see that. Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
I am a big fan of just watching the fireworks, but I have grown in my appreciation of being on certain rides for the fireworks, People Mover being one of them, even though you have to time it pretty well to like not be in Space Mountain when and some of the other areas when it happens. And if you can time it right, it's really awesome. But Astro Orbiter, I would imagine, just with the different colors of the fireworks for the Halloween party, is probably a really good choice if you're not going to be one that wants to go fight for a spot.
Yeah.
So how are the crowds for the fireworks? I know you weren't there, but it seemed like it was just as bad as for Happily Ever After.
No, gosh, no, definitely not. No. Again, I didn't see it, but I would imagine that it was probably about, just the front area, like the green was probably full, just because that was the only showing of the night. At least with the parade and the villain show, there was multiple showings. People were able to space it out a little bit better.
Speaking of parades, you already talked about it. What was your absolute favorite section, moment, or character, or whatever from the parade? Because I've got my idea of what mine would be, but I want to hear what yours is.
Yeah, I think just the villain's float.
Okay. Just the
they
float.
had they had Jafar, the Evil Queen, Lady Tremaine, just all the OG villains on it. So that was really cool to see.
What about the grave diggers with their shovels? And
yeah, that was kind of scary, honestly.
Okay.
They shocked me when they did it. They will slam it on the ground and sparks would fly out, and I was like, I wasn't expecting that.
I remember when that first started becoming a thing and they started promoting that, and I was like, this is so simple but so brilliant at the same time. I mean, literally just grab some shovels and, just stay back away from the crowd, I guess close enough. It sounded like you got pretty close. Yeah. And, with the music, do the little scratch. I mean, yeah, it sounds terrible, but you're at a Halloween party. I mean, that's, to me, that is something so simple that only Disney could do it and then make it great.
Yeah.
If I tried to do that, I just look like an annoying guy dragging a shovel around. So
stop it, Kyle.
Stop it, Kyle. You're annoying. Anything else from the Halloween party, or just like recommendations that you can think of for people having experienced it?
Yeah, just my biggest recommendation, I'm going to keep driving at home, is do not do it on a park day. You've got to have that morning off or you will not be able to enjoy yourself.
Yeah. And think about it this way too. My understanding is you can get into the park pretty early. If you've got the 4 o'clock. So you've got plenty of time before the stuff gets going, from what it sounds like and what Brittney told us here. So think about that. Think about how go you're probably going to be if you're wanting to get to the shows, to the parade, to the whatever, to this snack venue. You got a long day ahead of you. Don't be Brittney and try to do everything at once.
Do as I
But
say, not as I do.
But she can help you, of course, set up a time to go and do that in the future. They're obviously running out of time now. Maybe by the time you're watching or listening to this, the Halloween time is over, but it'll come back around again. They'll announce it
Oh
probably
yeah,
like in February when the
can't
Halloween.
wait to go again.
So that is the Halloween party. And that's going to do it for episode 4 of i2i in the parks. We got to talk about a lot today, and we appreciate you guys watching and listening. Brittney, if you want to plug away where people can connect with you, obviously to watch your stuff, but also work with you.
Well, I am a travel agent specializing in all things Disney and Universal. So if you would like to reach out to me, you can via Instagram is the best option. I'm Brittney Vacations, Brittney Vacations. Or you can email me, brittney.reese@academytravel.com. And all my quotes and services are free, and I'd be happy to help you.
And of course, make sure you do follow her on all her social medias for stuff when she's at the parks, but also just when she's got some fun content out there. If you want to keep up with me, the best way to do so right now is on our YouTube page, i2i in the parks, where you can see obviously this episode, some other segments we put out, and I'll probably be putting some stuff from our trips up there pretty soon. And maybe Brittney can push me to get on top of that and get going.
Come on, pal.
I know. Thank you guys for tuning in and being part of our eyes for i2i in the parks.